Hi, everyone. Hi. I would like to start on a happy note. I know a lot of you are still very young. Some of you are still in school, and I'm sorry to torture you on a weekend, but I want to bring you back. I want to bring you back to pre-exam preparation, okay? Because during my exam preparation, it was the first time that I actually understood the value of sharing and what the power of a commons was. Okay, so I came to Hong Kong about 8 years ago, and as I was preparing for my exams, I did what I usually did. I went through the literature list, I summarized all my readings, and then I sent out my notes to the mailing list, to all my fellow students, right? I got two types of responses. One was, oh, thank you very much. The second one was less positive. It was, that's not how we do things here. That's not how we do things here. And I was very surprised, but I was kind of happy because I was on exchange, I was new here, and I wanted to find out what was different about Hong Kong. I was only going to stay for 3 months, so I wanted to know as much as possible. I asked this person, so why don't you share your notes? It seems silly not to share the work that you've done, right? The marginal cost is zero. And he told me that if you share your notes here, you give up your competitive advantage because everyone is graded on a curve. And if you do all the hard work and you share your notes with someone else, that person has an advantage on you because they have more time to prepare for the exam. I was like, whoa, wow, I didn't know about that. Back home, what we do is we distribute the reading list. Everyone takes a couple of papers. We write summaries for all those papers, and then we submit them to a pool, okay? Everyone has access to the same pool of summaries, of notes. And this doesn't mean, like some of the Hong Kong professors think that, oh no, everyone will have exactly the same grades. It meant that everyone was better prepared, right? That everyone had a better chance at preparing for the exam. And if they wanted to, they could dive deeper into the topic and prepare themselves for the exam, right? So what I believe is that when you share, right, when you're the recipient of sharing, it's not just that you get more, right, but it's that you can do more. You can do more with the things that you had before, right? And I think something similar is happening with open data. It's that if you have a group of people that are sharing their data, that are sharing their notes, and collectively they can do more than they do before, this is a great incentive, right? It's a great reason to be sharing. And the same is true for open data, right? If with open data we all share our data, we all commit it to a pool, and we're no longer competing against each other for the data, right? It's no longer that we have an information asymmetry that we're proud of, that we protect. But instead, we start to focus on our competitive advantage, right? Our creative skills. If we need to innovate in order to differentiate from our peers, that's when we see truly interesting things happen, right? I don't know if you've ever looked at data, like looked at it up close. Have you seen it? It's just a string of characters, right? It's just a sequence of characters, zeros, one, zeros maybe some letters. It's not worth anything by itself, right? It's estimated potential. It only gets its true potential once it reaches its audience, right? If you go the final mile, if you walk the final mile and you take data and you make an application for it, right? That's when you get data. And that's where I think we should be focusing all our efforts on, not on siloing our data and keeping it to ourselves. So that for me is the concept behind open data, that we create a broad base, a broad open data commons that we can all access and make use of, and then build something special on top of it, right? But what is that stuff? What is this open data that we keep hidden away in our open data commons, right? There's 3 conditions that open data has to abide by in order to fit inside of the commons, right? First one, it has to be accessible by anyone, okay? And the accessible part means that if you go online, you can immediately access it. You don't have to sign up, you don't have to log in. But it also means, by anyone means that if you are in Taiwan, you want to access data in China, there's no regional block, right? You can do the opposite way around as well. It should be available for anyone. Machine readable, it has to be machine readable, okay? It's just like the internet. The value of the internet is in linking up. And if we don't have data that's machine readable, then we can't link it up. We can't mash data sets, right? We can surface the value in the data sets by combining them together. And there's another very practical value in making data machine readable. It means that the cost of making it machine readable is only paid once. Very soon in the front of the value chain, right? You only pay once to make the data machine readable, and then everyone benefits from it. Again, it's the same concept of the open data commons. You do one thing once, you make it available for people, and then everyone can benefit from it. Then there also should be no restrictions on use, okay? So whether you're working for the military, you want to make money, there shouldn't be any restrictions on it. Because once you introduce restrictions, then you start to have conflicts of interests, conflicts of data sets that no longer fit together, okay? And now that maybe you're buying into this idea of open data, and you think it's really great to have an open data commons, but how do you go about convincing government that they should buy into that idea as well? There's one organization in the UK that's been doing this for 10 years. It's the Open Knowledge Foundation. What they do is they build software. They get people together and they consult governments on how they can best open up their data sets. They're very modern organization. They're very distributed, right? So they have local groups in over 35 different countries. And Open Data Hong Kong is their local representative here in Hong Kong. We've only been around for a year, but we have learned a number of things. And those are the things that I want to share with you here today, okay? So when we think of open data, it's usually as a default, we're talking about open government data. Sure, there's academics that release data, there's civil society that releases data, but government data has become kind of the default. It comes in many different formats, and it covers many different domains, okay? Here in Hong Kong, you'll be happy to find out that the government tells you exactly when and where ships arrive in the harbor, when they depart. You can find out about the air pollution, the air quality here, and what the weather is like. All very useful. Traffic data, you can build commercial applications on top of them, right? So the Hong Kong government is telling us that the value proposition of open data is that you can make money on it, that it's convenient for you, right? A friend of mine is using open data to investigate a very important question, special interest. Is Chinese New Year always the coldest weekend of the year in Hong Kong? Open data can help you answer that question, right? But you might have a feeling, especially with the previous 2 talks, that this type of data, right? This type of data is not everything. And it's not the be-all, end-all of open data. And it surely isn't what we should be aiming for. What we should be aiming for, what we should be asking our government, is that they open up data about themselves, right? If we want to know how our government is doing, we need to have data that tells us how they are doing.